Hello and welcome to Crooked House Gaming. Here at Crooked House Gaming, we like to explore the gameplay of simulation games usually through a series of Let's Plays. In this episode, we will continue to explore the gameplay of Democracy 4. Democracy 4 is a political sim that lets you choose the role of a world leader and govern a country. If this sounds like something that you'd be interested in, be sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here, welcome, and be sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any future episodes. In this episode, we are playing as the Prime Minister of Canada. We are in the third term of our first year as Prime Minister of Canada, so let's dive in. Climate Change Protocol. There is an urgent policy that requires your immediate attention. The United Nations Climate Change Conference signed a new protocol to limit the emissions of greenhouse gases in industrialized countries. Your country participated in the talks and drove a hard bargain in order not to put too much strain on the economy. Still, ratifying the protocol can be costly, limiting GDP growth and worker productivity. On the other hand, experts claim that this is the only way to save the environment. Do we ratify the protocol? Ratify the protocol. Reducing greenhouse gas emission is the necessary step to make sure our children will be born in a habitable planet. A small hit to the economy is well worth this goal. Do not ratify. With our economy at stake, we cannot ratify a proposal that prevents growth, productivity, and wealth. Other means of protecting the environment will have to suffice for now. We are the Radical Reform Party, so we are going to ratify the protocol. The capitalists are unhappy at negative 18%, CO2 emissions are down at negative 10%, and the environmentalists are happy at plus 17%. Budget report. There is a budget deficit of $13.40 billion. We need to reduce spending or raise taxes. Polls report the government is not so popular amongst its citizens. Only 35% of them intend to vote for you in the next election. Cabinet report. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as supportive. Their effectiveness is generally to be considered passable. Economic forecast. Good news. The global economy is doing well and is having a positive effect on our GDP. Security briefing. The Liberal League says it actively encourages its members to oppose the current government. Yeah, they are a 6 on the threat assessment, so that is worrying. Could probably include. We wiretap in Canada? Wow, that's interesting. I want to take a look at our ministers because they're passable. You, the economy minister, you're gonna be fired. I don't even care who the potential members are. Well, we got Jacques Cote. He is for the poor and the conservatives. I don't know if that's even gonna work. Kim Gauthier. Let's hire her. She doesn't really have experience, but that's okay. Let's hire her anyway. The welfare minister is unhappy, the law and order person is unhappy, and the transportation minister is unhappy. We have 14 political capital to spend. We have a problem with respiratory disease, and we have a problem with pollution. Pollution without enough measures in place to regulate what gets pumped into the air, we end up with high levels of pollution. This affects our health level and quality of life. Not surprisingly, the environmentalists are especially upset. We don't want to limit air travel because that will lower the people coming into our country. We have reforestation to the max. Could limit tobacco use. Tobacco usage, the popularity of smoking in your population. The smoking obviously reduces health levels of your population and may therefore affect their productivity. Plus, smoking will place extra burdens on the cost of healthcare. We could do a tobacco awareness campaign. Governments have long known the terrible harm that smoking does to its citizens' health, but getting them to kick the habit is harder than it sounds. A trade-off has to be made between reducing the impact on the nation's health services versus any tax revenue that smoking brings. This is 50% popular with the vote. It will take 2 terms to implement. We will do it all the way to the max. We will bring it to high. We will apply the changes. It will use 1 political capital. We have 13 political capital remaining. We do a car emissions limit. Setting a legal limit on exhaust fumes helps reduce air pollution, especially in cities, but it's unpopular with motorists who look upon it as yet more bureaucracy and tax. Well, I am concerned with the health of our citizens, and I am concerned with CO2 emissions and pollution and how it is affecting our general population in Canada. Let us raise this. We will use 4 political capital. We will raise this to about medium, and we will apply the changes. Renewable energy might not be ultra efficient yet, but there is an argument for investing heavily in it now, so as to strategically prepare our country for a future without fossil fuels. Environmentalists are happy for obvious reasons, but capitalists see this as an unwelcome distortion of the energy market. This will lower CO2 emissions. It will lower our oil demand. Let's implement this. I will bring this to about high. I will apply the changes. We have 7 political capital left to spend. Rare earth metal mining. Support national initiatives for rare earth metal mining in order to make the country's industry and high-tech production less dependent on imports from foreign countries. The extraction process is not good for the environment, but our technology advancement depends on rare earth metals. Environmentalists are furious. This is 86% popular with the vote. Now we have research grants. This will lower rare earth metal prices a little bit. It will raise capitalism a little bit. Environmentalists will not be happy. We will use 5 political capital for this, and we will apply the changes. We have 2 political capital left to spend. Tourism is not only a source of income for many people and businesses, it also strengthens foreign relations. This campaign will run in foreign countries, showing our most beautiful places, important sights to see, wonderful people to meet, tasty beers to drink, and maybe even throw in a few free tickets to museums and shows, all in the hopes of attracting more people to visit us. This is 50% popular with the vote. I will go to maximum. I will apply the changes. We have 1 political capital left to spend. Community policing, working with the community rather than attempting to control it. Community policing encourages the police to better understand the needs of the local community, especially in areas with ethnic minorities. Critics see it as an expensive waste of money which could be spent on more direct methods to cut crime. Let's use our last political capital on this, and we will go to maximum. It will lower racial tension, it will lower violent crime a little bit, it will lower unemployment slightly. Let's apply the changes. We have 1 political capital left to spend. We also have an obesity issue in our country. We are going to put our last political capital into free school meals. Not only are free school meals a way to redistribute wealth by ensuring everyone can afford to feed their children, it is also a way to ensure that children eat healthy rather than surviving purely on junk food. Perhaps this will help lower our obesity issue by teaching our children to eat better. We are going to use our last political capital in this, and we are going to apply the changes. We have 0 political capital left, and we are at the end of our first term of our 3rd year as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's hit that button. We are now going to be entering our 2nd term of our 3rd year as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's see how we did. The GDP is up. Royal baby for the royalists. Thoughts of succession for everyone else. Cute baby photos. When the future monarch is born into our nation's royal family, is something for everyone. Well, at least something for enough voters that we can pass the tricky legislation without too much press coverage. Smile for the cameras, your majesties. The Conservatives are happy at plus 10%. Everyone is happy at plus 6%, and tourism has increased by plus 9%. Situation imminent. Our data is showing that we have a potentially bad situation, media monopoly on our hands if we do not act soon. Budget report. The government is currently running a budget deficit of $15.2 billion. We should take steps to reduce this. Polls report. You are popular with the majority of voters. We predict you would get 76% of the vote in an election. Security briefing. Our intelligence experts are highly concerned about a threat to the government and your person by an extremist green terror cell called the Avengers of Mother Earth. While they only have 113 members, they are a threat level of 18. That's really high. That is a big concern. Economic forecast. Good news, the global economy is doing well and it is having a positive effect on our GDP. Cabinet report. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as supportive. Their effectiveness is generally considered to be passable. I'm not going to play with my ministers right now. We have 7 political capital to spend. We can do police drones. I am concerned about the threat to my person and possible assassination. Unmanned aerial reconnaissance vehicles similar to remote control planes which can be employed by the police force. An eye in the sky is a useful way to keep track of mobs and rioters and allow a subtle yet effective surveillance. Police see it as a vital tool in modern crime fighting, but there is concerns that this is a step further towards a Big Brother style surveillance society where everyone is tracked. This will take 4 quarters to implement. This is going to take the majority of our political capital. The Liberals will not be happy. Violent crime will go down and crime will go down. There is no popularity with the voters for this, but we will implement it anyway. We're going to do it to about high right there. We will apply the changes. We have 1 political capital left. Healthcare demand. The frequency with which average citizen will make demands on the healthcare industry or service. This will lower with a generally healthier population, but conversely it will be higher given better technology enabling more complex and advanced treatment. Who has respiratory disease and obesity. Health is a general indicator of health for your citizens that measures not just raw lifespan but also fitness and general well-being of the people. It's going down. Hopefully it will start to kick in around here. But right now we just have free school meals. Perhaps we continue with free school meals. Free school meals. Not only are free school meals a way of redistributing wealth by ensuring everyone can afford to feed their children, it also is a way to ensure that children eat healthy rather than surviving purely on junk food. This is 100% popular with the voters. We are going to use our last political capital in this. Let's apply the changes. We have 0 political capital left to spend. We are at the end of our second term of our third year as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's hit that button. We will now be entering the third term of our third year as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's see how we did. The GDP is up. Single-use plastic ban. There is an urgent policy question that requires your immediate attention. Shock at the amount of plastic pollution in our water supply, our oceans, and even the air that we breathe has led to calls from scientists to ban single-use plastics entirely to get the problem of plastic pollution under control. Ban single-use plastic. It is absolutely ridiculous that we allow companies to use plastic packaging that will be used only once, but will take hundreds of years to break down. Even then, it may end up in our water supply. Other materials are available, and only government legislation will persuade companies to do the right thing and swap to more sustainable products. Allow single-use plastic. This sounds like an easy crowd-pleasing change, but the impact on the industry would be massive. Like it or not, we've gotten used to the idea of cheap single-use plastic in many parts of our life. A ban would cause immense costs and regulatory hell for our small businesses and be an economic nightmare. Meanwhile, foreign companies will use them as normal. We are the Radical Reform Party and we will ban single-use plastics. Plastic bag income tax has reduced at 100%. The environmentalists are happy at 6%, the capitalists are unhappy at -5%, and the liberals are unhappy at -8%. Situation imminent. Our data is showing that we have a potentially bad situation, gig economy on our hands if we do not act soon. Budget report. There's a budget deficit of $15.15 billion. We need to reduce spending or raise taxes. Polls report. Your government is popular amongst the electorate and we estimate a poll rating of 73%. Economic forecast. There is a global economic boom and is having a noticeable effect on our prosperity. Security briefing. Our intelligence experts are highly concerned about the threat to government and your person by extremist green terrorist cell called Avengers of Mother Earth. They are still at 18. They are still a concern. So we are going to have to think about something to deal with that. We have police drones right now. We can do more intelligence services. Let's wait on that. Cabinet report. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as supportive. Their effectiveness is generally to be considered passable. We have 17 political capital to spend. We have unhappy people for green Mother Earth. What do the environmentalists want? Environmentalists can align with any part of the political spectrum, but they share a concern about pollution, climate change, and animal rights. There's a vast range of policies that can address these issues, but environmentalists are concerned more with the outcome than the methods. Pollution and severe weather events can push more citizens into joining environmentalist groups. Their happiness is increasing. We do have a problem with this terrorist group. They did like the smart meter program. They are unhappy with pollution. They did like the plastic bag tax. They do like the climate change protocol, and they do like clean air subsidies. Do car emission limits? Car emission limits, setting legal limits to exhaust fumes to help reduce air pollution, especially in cities, but it's unpopular with motorists who look upon it as yet more bureaucracy and tax. We can put some political capital in this to improve the environmentalist view of us. We'll put 2 political capital into this and we will apply the changes. We have 15 political capital to spend. In the early years of trading, a preferential government grant can be an enormous help to get a new enterprise off the ground. This can lead to a big boost to the economy, but it can also be very expensive policy with no guarantees of good results. This will increase self-employment, the capitalists will be happy, trade unions membership will go down, the GDP will go up. This is 91% popular with the vote. Perhaps this will help to solve some of our gig economy issues. Let's implement this. We're going to spend lots of money on this. We'll go right all the way to the end. We'll apply the changes. We have 5 political capital left to spend. Business startup campaign. Many people have brilliant ideas, yet only a few of them dare to take steps necessary to set up their own little businesses around their idea. This campaign will help these people out, informs them what they need to do, where they need to go, and what permits they need to get. This will help a great deal and make self-employed people happy. This is 100% popular with the vote. This will lower socialism, increase capitalism, and increase the self-employed, and perhaps this will address our gig economy. Let's implement this. We will go to maximum. We will apply the changes. We have 3 political capital left to spend. Car emission limits. Setting legal limits on exhaust fumes helps to reduce air pollution, especially in cities, but it's unpopular with motorists who look upon this as yet more bureaucracy and tax. We will use 2 political capital to raise this, and we will apply the changes. We have 1 political capital left to spend. Unmanned aerial reconnaissance vehicles similar to remote control planes, which can be employed by police force. The eye in the sky is a useful way to keep track of Mars. mobs and rioters and allows for subtle yet effective surveillance. The police see it as a vital tool for modern crime fighting, but there are concerns that this is a step further towards the Big Brother style of surveillance society where everyone is tracked. I am concerned about my assassination to my person. I am using my last political capital in this. I am going to apply the changes. We have 0 political capital left to spend. We are at the end of our 3rd term of our 3rd year as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's hit that button. We will be entering our 4th term of our 3rd year as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's see how we did. Health is down. Merger. There is an urgent policy question that requires your immediate attention. A large internet company has announced plans to buy out one of its main competitors. This merger needs government approval, but if it goes ahead, it will create one of the biggest companies in the country. Allow the merger. There is no good reason to prevent this merger. In an increasingly global market, our companies need to grow if they are to compete successfully. The bigger company will be more efficient and effective in the global marketplace. Block the merger. The whole idea of the free market is based on competition. Allowing these two firms to merge will reduce both competition and consumer choice and no doubt lead to redundancies. It's another example of government looking after big business and forgetting the little guy. Small businesses and trade unionists urge you to block this merger. And while I am the Radical Reform Party, I think I am going to block this merger because of the free market creates new and radical ideas. So we're going to block the merger. The self-employed are happy by +8%. The capitalists are unhappy at -3%. The trade unionists are happy at +3%. Situation imminent. Our data is showing that we have a potentially bad situation, cyber warfare, on our hands if we do not act soon. Budget report. The government is currently running a budget deficit of $17.87 billion. We should take steps to reduce this. Polls report your government is popular amongst the electorate and we estimate a poll rating of 73%. Economic forecast. Good news. The global economy is doing well and is having a positive effect on our GDP. Cabinet loyalty. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as supportive. Their effectiveness is generally to be considered passable. Let's continue. We have 17 political capital. Trade Council would improve our foreign relations and international trade. It has always been a hassle to find trustworthy trading partners in foreign countries. With the establishment of a trade council, this will become easier now as potential trade partners will be listed here and make offers themselves. This will increase international trade and boost the economy. Let's implement this. We are trying to improve our foreign relations, possibly to reduce the cyber warfare that's going on. We are going to bring it to high right there. We are going to apply the changes. We have 15 political capital left to spend. Carbon capture and storage. A variety of engineering solutions to capture carbon dioxide emissions to reduce climate change, from the direct air capture to methods involving capture at the source from existing fossil fuel power stations. This is 100% popular with the vote. This would lower CO2 emissions and the environmentalists would be happy. Let's implement this. We are going to go too high with this. We are going to apply the changes. We have a political capital left to spend. Military spending. A modern, well-equipped military can cost an absolute fortune. Many people feel that the money could be best spent elsewhere. Others, especially patriots, would argue that you cannot put a price on freedom and security, and also point out huge benefits for our businesses, technology, and employment figures. I'm going to lower this. I'm going to use 6 political capital, and I am going to reduce it. It's still going to be lightly defensive. We will apply the changes. We have 2 political capital left to spend. I'm going to put our 2 political capital into intelligence services. Security services are an essential tool to fight against organized crime and terrorism. Good, reliable intelligence can be difficult and expensive to obtain, and in many cases, the methods employed can be unpopular with liberal and human rights advocates. Let's use our last 2 political capital, and we will do high-tech spy service. We will apply the changes. We have 0 political capital left to spend, and we are at the end of our 4th term of our 3rd year as Prime Minister of Canada. So I will be ending the episode here. Thank you so much for stopping by our Crooked House. If you like what you saw, be sure to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you want to follow our future episodes. It really helps us out. Have a great week. See you soon.